This is Lesson Jack on Writing, Uncensored, Episode 1, Character Description and Story Pacing.
Okay, what?
What do you want to talk about?
You want to talk about your story?
Oh, what was I saying? Oh, I'm really excited because I want to, like that moment, this moment where he's like moving the dead body. They're trying to move
In the bushes again?
what they think is a dead body.
Yeah.
They're in the bushes, and then they're like trying to get him over the fence.
Right.
And it's a short chain link fence, and he gets hung up. Like his shirt gets caught on the fence, and they're pulling, and they can't get the body over the fence. And then he's like,
You
and
can
then
cut it up in pieces.
no, and then the cop shows up, and then it's like a comedy scene. It's actually like a comedy scene because they're trying to get a dead body over the fence, and it's funny as shit.
Yeah.
And they have to leave him there, and then they move on.
You know what would help that? Because it doesn't come across that when you read it.
Uh-huh.
If they're wisecracking. If one of them's wisecracking. Probably, who's that guy, Eddie?
Right.
Probably him.
Wisecracking in what way?
Just making wisecracks. About, his weight and shit.
Oh,
Wish he
about
would-
the body.
Yeah. I said, wish you wouldn't eaten that last milkshake. Shit like that. Have one of them be serious, have Corky be serious, but the other guy be joking.
Right.
Then we know it's funny. So you got to have cues to let us know it's a funny scene.
Right. That will work throughout, actually.
Yeah.
Having Eddie being such a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit about anything.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's a reality.
Yeah.
Everything's just like a fucking
Yeah.
big joke.
You're going to make a great character out of him. Somebody will die to play his role.
That works, because he starts out as
Of course it works. I thought of it.
No, he starts out as like this friendly, hey, how you doing guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's like a big...
I never got that impression. But
Well, that's the idea he had of him. He's like, here, let's get high. Come on, join our party.
Yeah.
Kind of guy.
well met, hail, well met.
Yeah, he's like, come on. And
Yeah.
then he's like, he's following Henry because he knows Henry's going off the rails, right? He knows that much. And he doesn't want him to get...
Henry's the one they think is dead. The one he...
Yeah.
Okay.
Henry, because Henry is a nut job, and he's already brought the cops in on some job before because of his craziness.
Yeah.
And when he says, I'm going to go kill that guy now with my knife or whatever he says in the presence of Eddie, he's like, oh, fuck. He's really going to fucking... He might actually do this.
Who Corky thinks this?
Eddie thinks this. Henry says it. He doesn't say it in the book. That's why he's trailing him.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I got to watch him before I go home. Make sure he goes home. And then that's why he's on the scene when Henry attacks Corky.
Another thing you can do, once he comes out of the coma, a month down the line or whenever, make him different than the character he was. Maybe before he's a mean character, now he's wants to preach to the masses or something. Be Jesus or something.
Nut job in a different way.
Yeah.
Instead of like a psycho killer.
Yeah, turn him around when he comes out of the coma. He had a come to Jesus moment or something. Now he's a mellow dude. I mean, that's just for the future.
Yeah, that's a long way off.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's interesting.
Surprise the reader every chance you get.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying or realizing, that I would actually started a screenplay based on It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just
Is
like...
that Mel Gibson?
No, it's Spencer Tracy.
Oh, that's way back.
Yeah, Spencer Tracy and Sid Caesar and...
Oh, I saw it, but I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, it starts out with all these people on a road, and there's an accident.
Oh, yeah.
And
They're
it's
on
Jimmy
a road
Durante.
trip. Yeah.
He's like down at, his cars,
Yeah.
and they all like run down. He's like, he talks about this treasure that is, and it's under a big W. And then he kicks the bucket. He actually kicks a bucket. when he kicks the... And the group, Jonathan Winters, Sid Caesar, I forget.
Jonathan Winters is in that?
Yeah.
I love him.
Young Jonathan Winters.
Wow.
Sid Caesar,
That's
all
a
these
great
like
cast.
comedy stars.
Yeah.
And they're all like, all right, we're going to go find this treasure. And it's nonstop. And Spencer Tracy's like this old detective that's about to retire.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a local guy, and he finds out about that. He starts trailing them, trying to figure out what the hell they're doing.
So he's a serious guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's becoming a big pain in the ass. And his wife, you just hear her yelling at him on the phone. It's just, that's like her character. But he's like a henpecked guy that's going to be retiring soon.
Every time he describes a scene like that, a road scene like
Mm-hmm.
that, I think of Monty Python, where it's done in pantomime. The guy picks up his daughter's suitor that he hates, and they're in an open touring car, and they're driving down the road, and he's railing on his kid, "You're a punk," and all this shit. And then the kid leans over and whispers in his ear, and he says, "Okay," pulls over, and the guy goes behind these bushes. Well, there's a lawn crew back there, and they're watering the lawn, and they turn his hose on, it goes way up in the air, and the guy thinks it's the kid. So he gets back in the car, he's climbing in the back, telling him to sit by him. Remember that?
Wait, is that Monty Python or Benny Hill?
Sounds that might have been Benny Hill.
It sounds like a Benny Hill bit.
That might have been Benny Hill, because I love Benny Hill. I'm not big on Monty Python.
Yeah, it sounds more like a Benny Hill bit.
Did you see that?
No, but I can picture it. I might have seen it, actually.
It was funnier than hell.
I might have seen it.
He thinks the guy's got a serious hose there, and he's going to be good for his daughter. Maybe him, I don't know.
Yeah, but so, I mean, my idea was like part of the greatness of that Mad, Mad, Mad world, it's nonstop.
Yeah.
It's like thing happens. And
that's what I'm trying to get you doing your book.
Right. And it's
Don't
like,
have these slow moments. You got too many of them in there. You got to cram shit together.
Well, it's like...
I did the same thing in mine. I'm going back and I'm changing it.
Right.
Because it's a tendency to do that.
Well, it's like the scene in your head, and you want to describe the scene.
Yeah.
But then you got to cut the scene and cut it down to what's the
essence,
story point?
Yeah.
What's the next part of, like I said, telling a guy in Uber about whatever, my trip to the hospital,
Yeah.
my the spot on my lung.
Yeah. You have a spot on your lung?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't breathe on me.
Can
you catch that?
Oh, I shouldn't even talk about this if anybody
Damn.
listens to it. It's nothing.
Yeah, right. It's nothing to me because it's on your lung, not mine.
Right. But telling a story about something that happens, you don't like say, I walked into the hospital and it was lit with neon lights and...
Mm-hmm. See, I have very little description in my books. In fact, I've never described a character in any of my stories.
Oh, really?
And I had a guy in the chair one time when I was cutting hair, and I said, we got in that discussion. I said, he said, yeah, you have. I read all your stuff. You described him really well. And I said, okay, what's this character look like? And he named what he was wearing. I had none of that. Readers will furnish all that shit. I hate it when I see description of character. I'm reading a book right now. The guy's a good writer. It's driving me nuts. He has to describe what everybody's wearing and shit.
That's funny because I've been working on that. What to describe, what to not. What is he wearing, what is he not wearing?
Don't describe anything. Who cares? The reader will furnish a description. I guarantee you, if I haven't given you a copy of Monday's Meal, I will. And they're great stories. They're genius. But anyway, they are. I was compared to Raymond Carver by the New York Times. But anyway.
So you said.
It's pinned up.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway. But I told the guy, he said, I know you did because I can describe, and he went through and described a bunch of them. Didn't have a word of any of that.
Okay, here's a question. The guy, Uncle Allie, who the night before, Corky is like, they're trying to get him to help to hide the body. He's like, screw you, go take care of it yourself. That whole part.
Yeah.
So then the next day he's at the bowling alley, he's like, gets off the phone, he hears like him basically beating up another man, and he appears. The night before he's dressed in a tuxedo, now he's dressed in a something else. That's just to kind of differentiate him. You're saying don't even put in the tuxedo.
No, I've got a story. It's my favorite line I ever came up. First line of the story, and it's about this guy. It says, "Wherever Abner was standing became the bad part of town."
Right.
I thought it was a great line.
And immediately I'm picturing something.
But I never describe article of clothing, nothing. But I've asked people, "What's this guy look like?" And they all come up with remarkably similar.
Right, and it's from their head.
Yes.
Right.
Let the reader do some work. Hemingway said it the best.
Right.
Reading is a participatory action.
Right.
The reader has to do some work.
Right.
The writer provides the skeleton, the reader provides the flesh. Let them work. Make them work.
It's weird.
I guarantee you, if you read that, I've got downstairs, I think, I got some extra copies. I'll give you one. Read some of those. Huh? Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of the metal plastic card.
When I get a book and they're describing characters and what they're wearing and shit.
The book, I don't
drives me nuts.
The thing where they kidnap the guy with they cut off his hand or something.
Oh yeah, genuine imitation plastic kidnapping.
Right.
Yeah, I don't describe, but I got an image in my mind.
But the first scene, and then it cuts to like this picture, and I'm thinking about that, and like that picture, you have names, but you don't have any kind of this. You say what's happening.
The names are descriptive.
Right.
They show a certain kind of character.
And the way they talk, and the things that they do.
Exactly. You'll furnish your own name, your picture and everything, names and all that shit. You don't need to describe people. You just don't. Right.
The physical descriptions.
It's so unnecessary.
Right.
See, that's the problem with writer education. When they start teaching in the grade schools on up, they're teaching units. We're going to have a unit on settings. We're going to have one on description. We're going to have one on dialogue. It's bullshit.
Oh,
that's not the way to teach.
I don't remember that.
It's not the way to teach. That's why I run into people like you're a screenwriter. You've been taught about scenes. You've been taught about descriptions. You've been taught about action. But you've been taught as separate parts, not as a whole.
Right.
We're teaching as a whole.
Right.
It's different, but it works.
It's great, actually.
Yes, it is. I'm proud of it because I saw that very early on in my own experience, and I thought...
I mean, it's a great experience. I know now, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to describe it as well as I can now, or understand it as much as that. Like, that's the joy of reading.
You do some work. You get to participate in this whole thing. You're part of the creator.
Your brain is active.
Yeah.
And you're filling in all the gaps.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like when I was learning playwriting, as I was progressing through the workshops, I was learning the craft, learning better from Lee and the proper... I stopped. I wrote less and less description and action.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some plays I wrote where it's just it's like one line.
But listen to that again. Wherever Abner was standing became the bad part of town.
Right.
What does that give you immediately?
Right.
Is this a preacher? Is this a choir boy?
No.
This is a bad motherfucker, isn't it?
And I'm automatically picturing like the corner of a brick building on a corner.
Who cares? Wherever he's standing. He can be standing in front of the First Baptist Church, the bus station. It doesn't matter. Wherever he's standing became the bad part of town. Because he's a bad motor scooter. I'm so proud of that line. In one of the reviews, a guy dissed it. It's a bullshit line. Fuck you, dude. You don't have a clue. And I looked up all the books he'd written, and he hadn't written any, so I felt okay.
Did you look at his other reviews?
Yeah, they're mostly downers. This guy reviewed mostly, I don't know, cookware and shit. It was an Amazon review. It just pissed me off because I was so proud of that line. I thought it was very clever. And
it is. Yeah, well.
I have to get the thing and see. But he describes every person comes on, especially the women. He describes everything they're wearing, the color of their paint. It just drives me nuts. They all blend together. They all look like a cheap ass hooker. And this guy's, he's bestseller and all this shit.
Oh, really?
Which is meaningless.
It's weird. When I think of like, in terms of like action, keeping that a thing happens and thing happens as it progresses. The little bit that I wrote of the John Sanford book that I have that I didn't.
The what book?
John Sanford.
Oh yeah.
And it's like when I think of he's doing that. It's like the opening is like the woman going out and like getting the rabbits to eat, and he's like she's like slicing their necks, and it's setting up this right away the killing of these animals, and it's really like kind of dramatic.
Which Sanford book is it? I've read them all, so I don't remember by title.
I don't remember the title. I can see, and like she has two sons.
Action. That describes her to you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What if she's doing? It doesn't. You don't. I bet he doesn't use any what she's wearing or anything.
No, I don't think so.
Good for him. I like him.
It's rural, and then like the son that's at home from the war, was in the war or something. He's like up in the room like with the rifle, and he's like as a local neighbors coming down the country road, he's like aiming at him, and it's like and she's like thinking about this political meeting and like how this guy shouldn't win the presidency, and it's weird because like she's on like a farm, in the middle of Nebraska or somewhere, killing rabbits, and she's like really heated about the political guy, And so that's, already, like, in a few pages, you know where this is going.
Yeah, gonna be some shit.
It's great, and it's like...
When you read shit like that, notice how the writer did it.
Right.
To get that kind of emotion out of you.
Right.
And then steal it.
I mean, it wasn't emotional for me, but it was, like, engaging.
Well, yeah, you remember, that's emotional.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it because it was...
It made an impact. That's an emotional impact.
He wasn't saying any of that.
I know, but that's an emotional impact.
Right.
So watch out when something like that affects you to the extent you're going to remember it.
Right.
Look and study it. Look what they did. And you just did.
Yeah.
And then steal that.
Yeah.
Good writers steal, bad writers borrow. It's true. Did you ever look at my blog?
Yeah.
The side shit?
Yeah.
The Picasso stuff?
What was the Picasso? What is it?
Where'd he go? It's in there. Oh, there we go. It said, bad artists borrow, great artists steal. Pablo Picasso, it's crossed out and my name's under. Here's Texas A&M students came up with this about political correctness. Political correctness is a doctrine fostered by a delusional, illogical minority and rapidly promoted by an unscrupulous mainstream media, which holds forth from the proposition that it is entirely possible to pick up a turd by the clean end. Texas A&M students came up. I should have attributed that to him.
Hmm. Yeah, so pretty exciting. Except the only problem is fuck. It's like I'm listening to this guy, John Coleman, who's he's like the career guy in the Ramsey world. Dave Ramsey's the financial guy.
Oh, okay.
And Ken Coleman he's like the career
C-O-A-L or C-O-L?
C-O-L-E-M-A-N.
No, I just wondered.
And he's all about, finding your passion, and basically aligning your passion with what you're good at, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
And the way to tell what you're passionate about is when you do it, time flies. Whether it's like if you're fixing a car and you turn around and you've been fixing it for 4 hours and it felt like a few minutes.
You know, we just figured out the format of this thing.
What?
Student, teacher, 2 writers, talking shop.
Yeah, but can we do this for an hour? I guess we could.
We can do it for days.
Yeah, I mean, and like when we don't have to worry about it, because if there's like if you're showing me something like that, I can cut that out, because if it's a bunch of silence, and it's only, and I think the right length is an hour.
That sounds right.
So, yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll do it.
Okay, we'll put genius dummy. No.
So Ken Coleman, he says that one of the ways to figure out what your passion is what, and when I'm writing, that's what happens. Once I get into the mind, it's like a frame of mind, and I'm working my way through whatever, looking at it, revise, whatever. I'm in the world of the story, and feeling it. It's like goes from midnight to 4 a.m. and I'm like, fuck, I gotta stop.
You're in the zone.
I gotta go to sleep.
You suspended your disbelief.
I suspended time.
Yeah.
Time is suspended.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the zone.
And then I stay in the zone. Like this week. So when did I get it in? Wednesday afternoon. I was like, fuck, because we had the Sunday thing, and then I had the interview I knew face to face on Monday at 8:30 a.m. and then in the meantime, I guess it was Friday, I found out I had over the weekend I got this 2:00 meeting online over the phone on 2:00 Tuesday, then a 12:00 Teams meeting over the computer for another job. So 3 jobs. So I was like, I need to get up at 8:30. I can't get it in on Sunday, whatever. So I was doing a little bit, but I couldn't get in the sun, get into the groove of it, because I had to get enough sleep. And so then I had to wait till Tuesday night, and then I got...
That's good, though, because that drives you. That's when you sit down there and you're ready to write.
Right.
Because it's been pent up.
Right. And
that's great.
So I was working on, and you saw I even wrote him at the top of the things. I know I could have done more, but I had to go to sleep.
Yeah.
It was like fucking 5 a.m. I mean, literally 5 a.m.
It's funny. Holly emailed me about, I'm really having a problem. People, you and Holly and 1 or 2 others get to work in early. The rest of them, it fucks me up so bad. Right. Because I really only have about 4.5 hours a day I can work on shit. And after 6, I can't.
Right.
So people send their work in at 6 and think I'm sending it. It doesn't do me any good till the next day.
You gotta move the thing back.
Well, that's what she thought too. And she broached that before. So she came up with things she's going to post to the class. But what was weird was she said, this has been a weird session this time. Everybody's got problems except Jack. And I thought, if you only knew, Jack's got probably more problems than anybody.
Did she say that in the back chat?
That's a compliment.
Yeah, well, that
means you don't drag your shit to work.
It's funny she said that, because I was kind of aware of that kind of dynamic going on.
Yeah.
Is that, I don't know. I mean, this is like, when I was in the playwriting workshop, I was like, fuck, I care about it.
Yeah.
It's
important. And I'm not going to let shit distract me or get me away from it.
I mean, I'm not like you, where like since I was like 2 years old, but...
Well, you just came to it later, that's all. And not even that far later. I mean, you spent 30 years...
It's weird, because I don't give a fuck, right? I don't really care about when people, like actors in Hollywood, are always like, find your passion. This is my passion.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Your passion. I mean, I just was quoting Ken Coleman, but that's like a different thing.
Yeah.
He was defining it, right? He was defining it in a different way.
I'm trying to think, I just read this. who said it was Steinbeck or one of those guys said it wasn't him because I don't think he's that great a writer, but it was a really great writer. But I wish I could remember who it was. Said something about a chicken doesn't have to have passion to lay a fucking egg, so you don't have to have passion to write something.
Right.
It's a job.
Right.
So, and I thought that's pretty brilliant.
Right.
He said, "Yeah, a chicken doesn't need passion to lay a freaking egg."
Right. I mean, it's like
it's what you do.
Right. I mean, that's what I was like. I remember being at a party and she's like, "Oh, you're a writer. You're following your passion." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what that means."
Yeah. I'm
doing what I want to do
fervently. So yeah, you are following your passion, but you don't think of it in those terms.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
just like Charlie's following his passion here, trying to nail a housewife from the valley.
I don't know. And it's like, I mean, I don't get ill anymore from writing, but it used to be.
So you had anxiety shit?
No, it didn't feel good. Oh. I mean, it didn't feel good. And the other writers write about that. Like, Nadine Gordimer. I had this quote up that, like, no, it was, oh, God, this writer, he writes really dark novels.
That could be any number of people.
Whatever. He's like, every time I sit down to write, I feel a little nauseous.
Wasn't Harry Crews?
No, he has a Jewish name.
Oh, Isaac Asimov?
No, he writes novels like about like people committing suicide, divorce.
Is he older?
Yeah.
Is he dead?
He might be dead by now.
Kafka or one of those guys?
No, I mean he's like 80s, 90s.
Oh, okay.
70s, 80s, 90s. Very thought very highly in the literary circles.
That could be, yeah, anybody as dark is considered literary.
I mean, they made one movie. I know they made one movie.
Ken Kesey? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
No, dark. Like, shit, I forget his name.
That's all right.
Anyway.
It'll come to you.
But,
I'm gonna have to
it's just like getting into the groove.
I'm going to have to kick you out pretty soon, man. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
What time is it?
20 to 9.
Really?
Yeah. How come Kim hadn't called?
Oh, it's this fucking Fort Wayne late light.
Yeah, it is for me.
No, I mean, in New York, the sun never went down after 8.
We couldn't see it for the buildings.
No, because it's...
And they're the same time we are. And they get it earlier.
No, but we're on the western end of the East Coast time.
Yeah.
So, on the East End...
It's been dark a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like an hour earlier.
Yeah.
So the concept of it still being light after 8 is a little weird to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I hear you, man.
How long have we been talking? Let me see. Do we have enough good stuff for a podcast?
I don't know. I look at this as a trial run if you can make something else. But we should come out with kind of a bang. The first one, don't you think?
Well,
I think this is a good format, though. You and I just talking about writing.
It's 29 minutes. 29, almost 30 minutes of stuff.
Yeah. Which probably end up 20 minutes.
But we could say...
You could do this in 2 parts.
Well, we could do half an hour.
Yeah.
Half an hour was easy.
Yeah.
We just do half-hour parts.
Put all the commercials in.
No commercials. Starting out, no commercials.
Oh.
But then, the thing is, I was reading, it's like YouTube. If you got, I don't know what the...
See, I don't know any format like this really out there.
2 guys talking about writing?
Yeah. I mean, I know people get interviewed, but 2 people actually sitting down talking about writing. And it's usually done in an interview form.
Right.
I think this would be interesting and informative and helpful. Especially since you're not a brand new writer, you're a very experienced writer, just in another form.
Right. That was Lesson Jack on Writing Uncensored, Episode 1, Character Description and Story Pacing.